Then coming down into all of these herbs they're herbs of sexual cultivation. Goji is so revered. If you want your youth, when we talk about sexual essence, just remembering we are talking about potential. So we're not talking about, this isn't in Taoist has a lot of close to tantric sexual practices. Maybe people think it's something about, they relate when we talk about the Jing herbs in this way, we've been not promiscuous, but been highly sexually active. It just doesn't even have to fall into that conversation. Majority of the time, you're going to see it's just when you really integrate and start cultivating that sexual essence, you'll see maybe it's adventurous, maybe not. It's just a mature and responsible approach to your sexuality and your sexual essence and your potential for arousal. It's the same with like chasing happiness. Tonic herbalism talks about cultivating, having the capacity for spontaneous joy, not joy. So it's the potential for libido, your potential for strong erection or strong lubrication, or your appetite to have the ability to be warmed up. And that's what these Jing herbs maintain. Even if you're not out there or even feeling it right now, having that potential there, just sitting on the shelf, is really, really important. And goji berry is a magical sexual tonic. And eucommia bark is like the tree. It represents just how firm, that's for men's and women's tonic. And goji berry is especially a men's sexual tonic, but it was used clinically, especially for men's. I'm not going to go into all the clinical names, but everything you can imagine. All of these herbs, but when you get into getting the fire started, cistanche is on another level. That's why we call it cistanche in your pants. It is such a beautiful flower and desert shrub. It is, I'm quite excited because it's used as an aphrodisiac, but of course it's a yang tonic. It is like the yang tonic along with the horny goatweed in tonic herbalism, where again, it's like when people take a chi tonic and they're like, gosh, what's in this? Has this got caffeine in it? And it's like, no, it's just that initial peak experience.
The unveiling of what
your potential is. And then you don't really want it to work that way. It's the kind of same way that people go and have psychedelic experiences and then you're like, oh, cool. So I need to always be at that peak experience rather than it being like, cool, that showed me something that I work towards. That's what Jing can be like as well. You've got to be careful when you get on Jing because you get potent. Because we haven't talked about the amount of hormonal regulation when you're taking adaptogens like this, the amount of hormonal regulation and nervous system regulation and HPA axis regulation, you're going to start firing. So guys, you won't be firing blanks. And so you need to be mindful of that, but also get excited about that.
And I just wanted to add too, when we're talking about sexual essence and energy, and we spoke to, it's not just about tantric sex practices or even the act of sex. It's life force energy. When we're thinking about all these Eastern philosophies of what really this energy is, it's just our capacity to be in life and be engaged with life. And when we're increased, and really also traditionally, it's like taking these herbs and doing these lifestyle practices and following the way of nature so you can build your container and increase your capacity to hold chi. So when Mace is talking about having a peak experience and being like, whoa, I'm overcome with this incredible energy. What do I do with it? Do I just like get rid of it and throw it out everywhere, which is fun? Really, it's like over time and in conjunction with building your lifestyle practice and your diet and your relationship to holding more and more energy. It's really how can you bring in more, but hold it in a very sustainable and grounded way, because that's where we're talking about. We often talk about being an elder and we talk about the sage and blah, blah, blah. And if you're doing any sort of Qigong form of martial art, it's like, how do I hold this immense power but do it with grace? And you watch martial artists or people who are really accelerated in their Qigong practice and they move so gently, but there's such an incredible amount of power that they're operating with. So when we're talking about sexual capacity and potency, it really is. It's just your ability, your life force, engaging with what your innate life force is, how you want to express it in this version of who you are and what you've come here to do, and learning how to hold it and not just get rid of it because it's a new fun thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Behind every great Qigong master is sexual essence and sexual lubrication and sexual tissue, like sex organ tissue sensitivity and semen and all those things. That's what's behind it. I mean, and just on that you work with the Jing tonics and then it opens up to other lifestyle things. You don't have to obsess over it, but what happens is the quality of your semen production, the quality of your sexual fluid production, the quality of the sensitivity because a lot of, even if you go and work with like Master Chia or any good acupuncturist, if they tickle you and you're highly skittish and tickly, or so if you're overly sensitive within your sexual tissue, if it's dull there, you can't get enough sensitivity, of course, you're not going to change. If there's something fundamentally physically going on, then it's looking at it a different way. But working with what you've got, you are going to see those systems become much more highly regulated. And then this is just Jing herbs. This is just a lifestyle thing. Then you sleep well, you have your blood running through so you can experience genuine love as who you are, not skittish reactions as who you are, because you don't have your blood spirit Shen running through your body. Then that leads to really high quality sexual interaction with yourself and with your lover or whoever. Yeah, I say kind of facetiously, you got to watch out, but yeah, you can never sneeze at that. But I'm so happy that cistanche in your pants is in there, because then cistanche is just fun as a tonic. One day, hopefully, we'll have that individual herb, but if you're going past Chinatown, you can find some cistanche and have it on its own if you want to have a nice fun night with your partner. That's something you can experience, but you're getting it in the Jing tonic as well. And so when you feel that spike, if you just go down and click the link, we'll click a link so you can get some pictures of cistanche flower, which is beautiful. But again, it's lore with Genghis Khan. That's where it comes from. It was 1190 CE. Him and his 30,000 men, kind of the beginning of the campaign, they hadn't taken over 2/3 of the world yet, were stuck on this sandy hill and they were trapped. And as the story goes, that the people they were, it's ironic because it's a Mongolian story because it's putting God on the side of the Mongols to stop the cruelty happening in the world, which is kind of like, didn't that turn around a little bit for the world and Genghis? But what God did, he wasn't happy with Genghis's foe, sent a horse down from heaven, and it coughed so much that it splurted blood from its mouth, and then that grew the cistanche shrub, and then they harvested it, took it, became a staple of the army and gave them the strength to go and conquer.